maybe a cultural thing, or just kind of that whole idea of, if you do good, good things will happen to you, almost like a karma kind of thing. And it's like, no, no, not necessarily. You do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Mhm.
And then whatever the consequences come, whatever they are, you deal with them.
We'll talk about this and much more today. Welcome to a Writer's Day podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to a Writer's Day podcast. I'm so happy to have you here today. I know you have a ton of podcasts to choose from, and I'm honored that you have chosen to spend some time with me today. So welcome. And if you like what you hear on a Writer's Day podcast today, please consider subscribing and following me and leave me a 5-star review. I would love that. And let me know what you think of a Writer's Day. And you can also sign up for my newsletter. That's right, over at artbyruth.com, where you can learn more about my upcoming projects. I will be doing the book 2 in my Desert Shadows series. I'll be starting that soon. I got to get it to my editor, I think in May. Oh boy, that's coming. And then I will also be writing a Christmas story coming out later this year, a cozy mystery. And what else? I know I have so many other projects I'm working on, but also a dragon book, another coloring book coming this fall. So sign up for my newsletter so you'll be aware of all these projects that I'm working on. And I always give away a book. That's right. Every month I give away a free book, and sometimes 2 or 3 copies. So sign up at artbyruth.com today for my newsletter. Lynn Blackburn is the award-winning author of Never Fall Again. I think that was the last time we talked, was when we were chatting about that book. And now she's here to talk about book 2 in her Gossamer Falls series. And wow, it's getting so many awesome reviews, and it hasn't even released yet. So that's encouraging. And I love to talk with Lynn because she's so excited about writing that when you listen to her, you just want to go write on your story too. So you know the drill. Grab your favorite beverage, a comfortable chair, kick back and relax as we listen to Lynn H. Blackburn talk about her new book. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be talking with Lynn H. Blackburn again on my podcast about her new book, Break My Fall. Welcome back, Lynn.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Of course, yeah. And so it's been a while since we spoke about your last book, but why don't you catch up my listeners as to what you've been up to in the new year, around the holidays and in the new year, 2025?
Oof. I tell you, well, I have a general feeling that, most of us would agree that December is always a crazy busy month for most of the time. And then for a while, May was really busy. And I get, May is kind of December 2.0. You're like, except there's no presents. It's just all the teacher things and all that. But my oldest daughter, who has special needs and was in the school system until she turned 21, is no longer in school. She's an adult, and she is. So I thought it's different. Last May was crazy because we had graduation, and this year I'm like, oh man, this is going to be different. Like there's none of these things because I homeschool our boys, and it's just a completely different thing. And so I realized, I was like, so for me now, February is the month of absolute chaos because I have books due typically at the beginning of March. I have books launching, like Break My Fall is coming out in March. We have 2 birthdays in our family, 2 days apart in February.
Wow.
And then my boys are baseball players. And yes, if you notice, there's a lot of bees there, all the bees. It's very alliterative. Is that a word, alliterative? I said something to my husband about it. He's like, did you do that on purpose? I was like, I can't help it. It's books, baseball, and birthdays. They all start with bees. But it makes February the single busiest month just in all the places I have to be and the things I have to do. And so I typically spend January, we recover from the holidays, and then it is all about what can I do to make February a little bit easier? Really, it
Yeah, because
is.
it's coming. You can sense it,
I
right? You're
can
like,
see
it's
it.
coming.
I have had a book due the 1st of March for, let's see, this will be the fifth or sixth year
Mm.
that I've had a book due, and around the, it may have been, it may even be a lot more than that. And so it's just part of my routine. I know it's coming. And so I typically do, I mean, it's January, it's put all the Christmas stuff away, it's plan and get everything as organized as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Um, and
And
a
then
lot
gird your
and a
loins, right?
yes, really. And a lot of juggling and also sometimes saying no and trying to figure
Yeah.
out what can I do and what I can't do because it's a season. It's not a long season. It's a season and my kids are only going to be high school baseball players for so long and I want to enjoy it and but I also love to write books and so we have to figure out how to make it work. So that's what we do.
Oh, good for you. Yeah, it sounds like
So
an
I
exciting
did
time.
I do typically try to run away in January if possible for a writing weekend. And so I don't go far. I usually go to a hotel in our town so that I'm not losing time in travel and I could be home in 15 minutes if I was needed. And so that was big at the end of January. That was my main thing. I got
Mm.
away for 3 days and the Lord was so, so good during those days. I wrote an amazing amount of words, really. And I was just like, well, this is not normal. This is clearly the Lord because this is not Lynn's ability right here. And so yeah, it was a long month, but it ended on a very sweet note. And now I'm just buckled up and charging ahead.
Wonderful. Oh, that's great. Yeah, those writers' retreats when you can just get away and write. Oh, they are so precious. We have to guard
Wonderful.
them with our lives.
Yes, yes.
That's great. I'm so glad. And you're right. The kids are only this age once, and so you have to enjoy it. And I have a few writer friends who started writing when their kids were little, and now that their kids are 9 and 10, they realize, you know what? I think I should just prioritize and spend time with them. And I was so happy for them because those years, once they're gone, that's it, you know.
Well, and it's true, and it's a very it can be really tempting when, a book contract comes along and then they want to know, can you write, can you give us a book every 6 months? And that is a big part of why my books come out once a year. Because once a year I can manage, I say
Mm.
manage with very my husband would smirk if he heard me say manage. Um, but one book a year I can handle. I feel like I can. The Lord is always very faithful in time and that kind of thing, and gives me what I need. And and it also gives me time where some writers say they write every day or whatever. And I am not an everyday writer. I write when I'm working on a story, but I can easily go a couple of months, especially in the spring after I get this book turned in. um, I will I will be all mom, all baseball, all school, all the things. And
Oh,
I'm okay with that. I think the Lord I think it's good. My kids see me doing this. They see me doing something that I enjoy, but they also get an awful lot of my time because again, I homeschool. They're home with me and I'm with them a lot. And and I even had a conversation with my editor recently. I was like, maybe in about 4 years, I might be ready to try to write a little bit faster, but not yet because somehow I think when they're little, you think they're going to need you less. And really, upper elementary and middle school, I think they need you more. It's
yeah,
a
high
it's a
school
different
too.
need.
Yeah.
It's a different need, but it is that it's all the emotions and the hormones and it's not just about doing what they're told. They're becoming who they are, and the
Mhm.
Lord's working in their heart. You want to be able to be there and be present for those conversations. And
Hmm.
I know I won't have any regrets about
No, not at
not
all.
writing more books. They will be there when my kids are in college and me and Emma are wandering around the house like, where did they go? What happened?
Exactly. That is so true. Oh, yes. Well, so now let's talk about this new book, Break My Fall. What's this story about?
So, this is the second book in the Gossamer Falls series, and it centers on Dr. Meredith Quinn. She's a dentist. You don't get a lot of dentists as villains, I don't
That's
think.
true.
And but I have several friends who are dentists, and so I thought it would be different. And so Dr. Meredith Quinn is in her 30s. She's single, and she grew up in Gossamer Falls and then came back. And she is kind of a little bit of a bleeding heart. She wants to help everybody, and part of why she went to dental school was so she could help people. She has a very, very compassionate nature. And part of what she does is she does dental clinics in underserved areas, which I have set the town of Gossamer Falls. It's a fictional town up in the mountains of North Carolina, and there are lots of places that don't have easy access to medical and dental and those kinds of things. So it felt like a good fit, for her. But in the process, she has managed to kick the hornet's nest with some very unsavory people, and she wants to keep going and helping, and in a community where things are dangerous and sketchy, and it eventually gets her into trouble. And of course, the police chief, who would really like to keep her alive and safe, disagrees with some of her choices because he would like her to have some self-preservation skills that she doesn't seem to have any. And she's not too stupid to live. It's nothing like that, but she's very, very motivated to help. And that's part of how she's wired. And that's part of their conflict is how she can be who she is called to be and not drive him completely crazy. Um, but because he grew up in a very troubled situation and has lost most of the women in his life in tragic situations. And so he wants to keep her alive, but he's also holding her at arm's length from the relationship standpoint because that's just not something he thinks would be a good idea. And of course, she disagrees, and she is a force of nature, and so they end up, he's trying to protect her, and of course they end up getting into several scrapes together, and which builds their relationship and their bond. And I had a lot of fun with these two. They were different to write than some of my other characters have been, and it's that Meredith is the combination of the she's a little bit of the beloved, kind of the town princess, the beloved, one of the youngest grandchildren. She's very much adored by everyone. And then she runs up into this guy who just seemingly is not impressed. He does not care. And it's a little bit of a shock for her, not because she's not snotty. She's just, her life it's gone pretty well, all things considered. And now here's this guy who doesn't seem to appreciate her very much. And just working those two through all of their drama and getting them to where they um, could fall in love and also stay alive, which is the key there for this. It was a challenge, but it was fun. And I really hope people enjoy getting to know both of them because we met them in the first book. Um, so anybody who read Never Fall Again or the novella that came out this fall is also in this world. And so we've met both of these two characters before, but now we get to really do a deep dive into what makes them tick.
Yeah, how was it writing Police Chief Grayson Ward? How was that
He was
experience?
challenging because he is
Yeah.
he is pretty messed up, and not I mean, just his life was hard, and I like to fix everybody, including my characters, and I have to really work on sometimes being mean enough with them, and I kept making his life more and more difficult, and because I really want the motivation to feel, natural and intuitive. And part of me was kind of like, I don't know if I'd been through what this guy's been through. I don't know. I'd have to really be in love with somebody. to take that risk, which is of course the whole point. But I definitely made it hard for him. And then he messed up at one point, and it was one of my favorite scenes because she lets him have it. And he's sort of like, oh dear, I did not handle this well and I need to fix it. And so then he spends a lot of time not groveling, but just trying to win her back. And I had the most fun planning those scenes and what was he going to do next. And I can't wait for people to read them um and see what they think about how he worked to when he finally realized he had messed it up and he did want her in his life, how he worked to get her back. So they were both a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. I mean, he sounds like such a real character, and readers love that. They love a character that's deep like that. Yeah. They can have sympathy for him, as they're reading about him.
Well, yeah, because we all know ourselves to be not, we want everyone to think we're perfect, but we're not, and we're struggling, and all of us are. We all have things that we're processing and working through, and um, of course, with the book, we get to read about it on the page. But I do think I think most readers get a little annoyed with the too perfect character because
Yeah.
they may not even realize why sometimes. Sometimes like, what is it about this that I'm not liking? And then sometimes, oh, do they have any flaws? Because it feels like they don't. And
Yeah.
if they don't, then that also breaks down all the conflict that's happening too. Because if they really were that perfect, why wouldn't you want to be in a relationship with this person? And it's like, no, we got to have some issues here. And, but that's also part of why I love writing romance because I don't mind having the drama and the challenges and the struggles, but I want to know as I'm reading it that it's going to work out and it's going to be okay and they're going to make it. I want the happily ever after. Um, and I need to know that that's going to happen. If I know it's going to be okay, I can handle the stress of them working through it. I don't like books where I finish the book sad. I
Mm.
do not want to finish a book sad. I do not read to be sad. So I don't I always want to make sure it ends on a hopeful note and that it ends with everybody happy and not necessarily every single thing resolved, but where the reader feels like they're in a good place and they can see how they're going to make it. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
real life, we don't tie everything up in a bow, but we get through our struggles and then we move on. And yes, there will be a new set down the road. But I like to make it where it at least feel the reader can close the book and feel like they've left these fictional characters in a good place.
So, what do you hope readers will take away from Break My Fall then after they go through, what these two characters endure?
Well, one of the things Meredith is a very she's there's no law enforcement background for her. She's a dentist. She's not it's not like she's a secret agent or has any super skills, but she has taken some risks and has put herself out there because she is determined to do the right thing. And when things present themselves to her and she has the option to back away or take a chance, she has been willing to do the right thing, even though it might be dangerous or might make things harder for her. And I just think that's a very admirable quality because I am legitimately a chicken and I struggle whether it's, I think all of us do. Sometimes it's like it might be, I don't want to address the situation. I don't want to get involved. It would make things complicated. And, and what if people don't understand and somebody gets offended and all of those things. And for her, she does it anyway. And it's not that she's clueless, because again, I worked really hard to be sure she wasn't coming across as, just blithely going through life and bouncing around and getting into issues without even realizing it. She's not like that, but she's very sensitive to what is the right thing to do, and then she does it. And even at potentially great personal cost. And I think that's always I don't think we all, I don't mean, most of us aren't dealing with human trafficking necessarily, although sometimes we are and don't even realize it, or
Yeah, I
drug
mean,
trafficking.
you touch
Because,
on drug
yeah,
trafficking. Yeah.
and there's a lot of drug issues in Appalachia that are pervasive and very problematic. Meth has always been a big deal, but fentanyl's now also jumping in there. It's a tragedy and a real issue of epidemic kind of proportions. And so, um, for her to just do the right thing. And it's not, obviously it's a book, I recognize that, but I think sometimes we all need that little reminder that doing the right thing. And I think this is terrible theology, just to be clear, but we get it in our heads that if we're doing the right thing, everything will be easy. It will go well, like it will be a
Oh,
good thing. And
no.
of course, there's nothing biblical about that. And
Exactly.
there's nothing biblical about that. But I think I don't know. I just think it's maybe a cultural thing or just kind of that whole idea of, if you do good, good things will happen to you, almost like a karma kind of thing. And it's like, no, no, not necessarily. You do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Hmm.
And then whatever the consequences come, whatever they are, you deal with them. And so that's probably my biggest thing is just, do the right thing regardless. If you're doing what God has called you to do, even if it doesn't make sense to everybody else, and even if it can be a little dangerous, whether that's to you personally, like professionally or personally or relationships, it's still worth doing because God will bless that not necessarily by making it all go perfectly, but by having His will done in that situation. So
Hmm.
yeah,
I love that.
but with all that said, I really don't think about all that at the beginning. I really don't. I don't write a book with a theme in mind.
Hmm.
Typically, I write the book and then I realize what the theme was. Does that make sense? Like the
Yeah.
story happens and then I go, oh, okay, there it is. So sometimes I don't even know until I get to the um, revision stage and I start seeing all these pieces and I go, oh, that happened a lot. And then I'm able to figure out what it's about.
I love that though, and I know your readers do too. So Break My Fall releases March 18th. That's right around the corner. So it's available for pre-order right now.
It is available for pre-order everywhere. I think even the Audible may even be up for pre-order.
Hmm.
And I have one reader listener who always lets me know once it shows up on Audible and pre-order. And
Nice. I love that.
I love a good audiobook. And
Hmm.
yeah, so it's available everywhere. Baker Book House always runs a great special on Revell Books and Bethany House Books. It's probably the cheapest because it's 40% off and free shipping if you pre-order.
Hmm.
So you can't beat that. And we do have, now there is a limit. Supplies are limited, but we do have a bookmark and a sticker and signed nameplates. I think I signed about 200 plates and we have stickers that are exclusive to Break My Fall and a bookmark that will come in your book if you order it from them. For the
That's a
first, I think it's
great
the first
deal.
200 people, something like that.
Wow,
So
that's a great deal.
it's probably the best deal out there. But wherever you get your books, you should be able to find Break My Fall, and we appreciate it wherever you buy it because that helps us keep doing it and
Of course.
keep telling the publishers that yes, we want these books and we want more of this. So.
So what are you working on next?
Well, the third book in the series is due to my editor on March 3rd. And
And that's for a 2026 release, right?
yes, it's so wild. Yes, I turn it in a few weeks and then it will release in March of 2026. And
Wow.
it is the third and final book in the Gossamer Fall series.
Okay.
So that is what is keeping me up late and occasionally giving me really weird dreams. And I'm splitting my focus between talking about Break My Fall and doing all of the final work on the third book and getting it ready to send off to my editor. So
Wow.
it is, it's exciting. Third book characters for me are always some of the hardest to write because I feel like there's been so much buildup and there's a lot of reader opinion about them.
Yeah, a lot of expectations,
A
right?
lot of expectations, but that's okay. That's a good problem to have. I'm
Yeah,
thankful for
right.
it. And but it does, my third book characters always make my life difficult, and they are. I've actually been posting things on Instagram with the hashtag Mo and Bronwyn are being difficult because that is how I feel about it right now. But it's all good. It'll be okay. I'll get it turned in and then my editor will fix it. That's
Yeah. Thank the Lord for editors.
I'm
That's
so
wonderful.
very thankful for editors.
So, folks, remember the best way to stay up to date on all of Lynn's projects coming up is to go to her newsletter. Sign up for it at her website, lynnhblackburn.com. And where else can they find you?
Well, I'm mostly on Facebook and Instagram. Sometimes I'm on Twitter or X, I guess X. And but anywhere social media wise, it's at Lynn H Blackburn, and they should be able to find me there.
Okay, fantastic. So remember, go and sign up for her newsletter, and you can find her on Facebook and Instagram. And Lynn, thank you so much. I know you're super busy, so I appreciate you taking time out to chat with us. It's so fun talking with you. Your enthusiasm is contagious.
Well, I'm very blessed. I have to remind myself sometimes because some days February is a tough month, and it's good for me to remember, even in February, that God was faithful last February, because this is where I was last year with the book we're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. That I was trying to finish it up and get to the end, and it's a good way to just remember that God is working and moving things forward, and I'm very, very thankful to get to do what I do. So I'm excited to talk about it all the time.
Oh, that's great. Well, I appreciate you visiting with me today on my podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, wasn't that wonderful to listen to Lynn H. Blackburn talk about her new book, Break My Fall. Ooh, it sounds tremendous. And a dentist, who knew? But I think it's great that she's trying a new protagonist, in such a way like that, and to take on the hard topics like drug traffickers. Wow. So be sure and go pre-order your copy of Break My Fall today. And I hope that you've been encouraged by Lynn. She's a busy mom, a homeschooling mom, but yet she makes time for writing, but she prioritizes. She makes sure that her children come first, her family comes first. You can always write a book, but your kids will never be this age again, so enjoy them. Keep going forward on this writing journey, overcoming those obstacles that God puts in your way, not to hinder your progress, but to make you stronger, to really fight for that story. Because like I always say, someone out there needs to read your story. So keep going. And thanks for listening. Until next time, God bless.